everyone, welcome back. I hope you're having a good week. I am super excited about this recipe that I'm going to show you all today. We're going to be using a whole head of cauliflower, fully whole. We're not going to cut it into pieces. So I like to use small baby cauliflower heads when in season, and right now I could find some, which is why I wanted to shoot this recipe. So the biggest head of cauliflower that I use for this one looks like this. You can use a bigger one, but it's going to take a little bit longer and it's not as pretty, but it can totally work. So I am using a couple of these tiny ones, and traditionally it's actually deep fried, and then you make the curry paste separately and then you combine the two. But I'm going to bake it and cover it with some oil and then bake it in a 350-degree oven and then make the curry paste and then combine the two. So I'm just going to coat these with oil and put this in the oven. See you in a sec. So while the cauliflower is roasting, we're going to start making the base or the curry. I prepared the ingredients for it. We're going to be using 2 chopped up red onions. Red is preferred, but you can always use white or yellow if you don't have red. We have 6 cloves of garlic, finely minced, and around 2 inches of ginger, finely minced, and 5 tomatoes. Finely diced or minced, either will work. So we're going to use a deep pot, a pot that fits in all your cauliflower, and so that you don't have to use multiple pots. So my La Creuset will fit all the cauliflower in, and we're going to start making the curry. Once the pot is hot, we're going to get oil enough to coat the bottom, and any high smoke point neutral oil will do. Once the oil is hot, you're going to get a bay leaf in and let the bay leaf get toasty. Stir it around for a few seconds, and then you get your chopped up onions in. So we're on medium-high heat right now. And take a look at the color of the onions. They're like completely raw right now, and they're going to cook down, and we're going to look for some nice color on this for the recipe before the recipe ends. It needs to have some serious color, and that's going to take some time, so don't rush this process. So medium heat, and once the onions are translucent, that's when your ginger and garlic goes in. So this is going to take a few minutes. So the onions are soft right now. You can see they're translucent and not as raw looking as they were. So your ginger and garlic will go in. Ginger and garlic. And we're going to saute this for a little while more before you start seeing color. And then we're going to add the spices. So again, medium-high heat is what you're looking for, and then just let it do its thing. So it's been 10 to 12 minutes, and if you take a look, you can start seeing the onions getting to caramelize a little bit. I don't want you to go by time, I want you to go by color, because the time varies depending on the heat or the amount of fat that's used. So you should start seeing it cook down and get some color, however long it takes. So now we're going to add the spices. So I'm adding a teaspoon of turmeric, 2 teaspoons of coriander powder, and I'm doing a teaspoon of chili powder. If you like it more spicy, definitely add more. If you like it less spicy, reduce that. And you'll see that once the spices get mixed in, things will start darkening. The paste will look darker and browner. And don't worry about stuff sticking at the bottom. Once we put in some tomatoes, that will pick it up. And what we have not added is the salt. And so some salt salt to taste. I would say around 2 teaspoons. Okay. So saute it for a minute till everything gets mixed in, and then your tomatoes will go in. Okay, now everything is mixed in, and we're going to add your tomato puree. So because the tomatoes are liquidy, they will pick up all this burnt bits, which has a lot of flavor, and get that incorporated. Oh, I have a chunk of tomato that didn't, so I'm going to break that down. Okay, so now I'm going to let this be for another 6-7 minutes at least, or till it gets nicely incorporated before I do anything. While the tomatoes are cooking down, I wanted to show you the cauliflower. I took it out of the oven. This is what it looks like. I know some pieces, the tiny ones, look charred, but they're not. They're just soft. And we are also going to steam them with the tomatoes eventually. So if there's parts that are not soft, then they'll get cooked through. So once the tomato mixture is ready, we are going to stuff some of these with that, and then we're going to put this entire thing in the rest of the sauce and steam it, and that'll be the final dish. So let's see what the tomatoes look like. Okay, this took longer than I expected, so it took like 10 to 12 minutes. Again, don't go by time, just go by the way it looks. So it's nicely broken down and incorporated, and the tomatoes, onions are all one thing. You can't see them separately, which is what we want. So the last spice that goes in is the garam masala. So I'm going to add like 2 teaspoons of garam masala and mix that in. And this is nice and pasty, and this is ready. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off, and then we are going to stuff half of this into the cauliflower, and then we're going to save half and put the cauliflower back into this pot with the remaining half and steam it. Okay, so I have the cauliflower ready, so I'm going to start stuffing these florets like this. So just get this whole tomato mixture inserted into this so that the flavor goes inside. And then when you steam this with the rest of the paste, it'll all, like every bite will be flavored, and it's gonna be pretty and yummy. Make sure you taste the mixture before you start this, that it's got enough salt and flavor. Don't do it later, because then you're gonna have parts of it which won't have salt. So just make sure that step is taken care of. So this one's done, and then I'm going to do, these little guys are going to be a little tricky, so I'm just going to put it on top, and it'll go in when it steams. So I'll do all of them similarly. So now I'm going to thin this out and add like half a cup of water. We're not looking for it to be very thin. We want it to be a thick sauce which gets inside the cauliflower and also steams the cauliflower a little bit. So this looks good. And then now I'm going to put the cauliflower face down into this. all of this is fit in. So on medium low heat, I'm going to cover this and let this cook for 6-7 minutes so that all the paste goes into the cauliflower and the cauliflower is cooked through. It's been 8 to 10 minutes. I'm going to take a look. So the sauce has gotten all absorbed and the cauliflower is tender. So I'm going to take it out. So I'm taking out all the cauliflower and there's still sauce at the bottom, which I'm going to put on top of this. And if you feel that it's lacking flavor, you can sprinkle some garam masala, but I feel mine has plenty, so I'm not going to add any, but that's something you can add. The other thing I do usually add, which I didn't have today, is I add some roasted peanuts for crunch on top, but I'm out of peanuts, so I didn't add that. That's something you can always add. And then we're just going to garnish it with cilantro and the dish will be ready. And here's the final dish, whole roasted cauliflower. You can serve it with roti, rice, naan. It's amazing, give it a try. And you can always add peanuts, like I said, and that adds a lot of crunch, or omit it, or add a different nut to add some crunch. Give it a try, and if you're going to do it with a bigger head of cauliflower, just cut it in half and try it out that way. All right, next time.